One night, when a fire broke out in a residential building, the watchman acted quickly. He ran from floor to floor, knocking on every flat's door to wake the sleeping families. Because of his presence of mind, dozens of lives were saved. The night was as silent as a graveyard. A thick blanket of darkness covered the city. The only sound that could be heard was the soft wind that rustled through the trees outside. Inside a residential building, a watchman was doing his rounds. His name was William. He was a middle-aged man with a kind face and a salt-and-pepper beard. He had worked as a watchman in this building for over 20 years, and he loved his job. He took pride in keeping the residents of the building safe. Little did he know that tonight would be one of the most terrifying nights of his life. Suddenly, he heard a series of loud bangs coming from the direction of Mrs. Peterson's flat. Mrs. Peterson was an elderly woman who lived alone on the 10th floor. The watchman rushed towards her flat, his heart pounding in his chest. As he reached her door, he saw smoke billowing out from under it. A fire had broken out in her flat. The watchman knew that he had to act fast. If he didn't do something quickly, the fire could spread to the rest of the building and the residents wouldn't stand a chance. But how could he save them? That's when he remembered the fire escape route that he had memorized over the years. It was a long shot, but if he could get the residents out of the building through the fire escape, they might have a chance of surviving. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. He had to stay focused and think clearly. The safety of the residents depended on it. With a sense of urgency, the watchman rushed to the elevator and pressed the button for the 10th floor. As the elevator ascended, he could hear the crackling of the fire getting louder with each passing second. When the elevator doors opened, he was met with a scene of chaos. Smoke was filling the corridor and the air was thick with the smell of burning. Without wasting a moment, the watchman stepped out into the corridor and started knocking on each door, yelling, "Fire! Everyone get out! Fire!" His voice echoed through the corridor, jolting the sleeping residents out of their homes. He raced from flat to flat, his heart sinking as he saw families in their pajamas stumbling out of their homes, confused and terrified. The watchman knew that he had to get them to safety as fast as possible. He led the residents down the stairs, guiding them away from the danger. Meanwhile, the fire on the 10th floor was growing, its flames licking at the ceiling. The watchman's eyes darted around, taking in the scene. He needed to find Mrs. Peterson and help her evacuate. He turned towards Mrs. Peterson's flat and started knocking on the door. "Mrs. Peterson, come on, open the door," he yelled, his voice hoarse with urgency. There was no response. He knocked again, but there was still no answer. The watchman's heart sank. He knew that Mrs. Peterson must have been overcome by the smoke and was unable to respond. With a heavy heart, he turned away and continued helping the other residents evacuate. He guided them down the stairs, making sure that they were all safe. As he led the residents to safety, the watchman couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had trained for such emergencies, and now his training was paying off. He had successfully evacuated dozens of residents from the burning building, and not a single life had been lost. But the job wasn't over yet. He still had to account for Mrs. Peterson. He turned around and went back to her flat, hoping against hope that she had made it out. But as he approached the flat, he saw that the door was closed and there was no sign of Mrs. Peterson. The watchman's heart skipped a beat. He knew that he had to do something fast. He tried the doorknob, but it was locked. He pounded on the door, yelling, "Mrs. Peterson, are you in there?" But there was no response. Thinking quickly, the watchman ran to the fire escape and climbed onto it. He made his way to the 10th floor, his heart pounding in his chest. As he reached Mrs. Peterson's floor, he could see the flames from the apartment below, dancing and flickering like evil spirits. He knew that he had only seconds to save her. He raced towards Mrs. Peterson's flat and kicked in the door. The room was filled with smoke, making it hard for him to breathe. But he pushed through the smoke, his eyes searching for Mrs. Peterson. Then he saw her. She was lying on the floor by her bed, her breathing shallow. Without wasting a moment, the watchman scooped her up in his arms and carried her to the fire escape. He made his way down the ladder, his muscles burning from the effort. As he reached the ground floor, he handed Mrs. Peterson over to the paramedics who rushed her to the hospital. Safe in the knowledge that she was in good hands, the watchman turned to look at the building. The fire had spread and was now engulfing the entire 10th floor. He knew that there was nothing more he could do. In the aftermath of the fire, the watchman was hailed as a hero. The residents of the building praised him for his bravery and quick thinking. They had lost everything, but they were alive. And that was all thanks to the watchman. News of his heroism spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of the mayor. The mayor, impressed by the watchman's bravery, decided to honor him with a Medal of Valor. On a bright sunny day, the mayor presented the watchman with the medal, his chest puffed out with pride. The watchman, however, was more interested in the well-being of the residents. He had seen the fear in their eyes, and he wanted to help them rebuild their lives. He organized a fundraiser, which brought in enough money to help the residents get back on their feet. As the city rebuilt, the watchman stood tall, a symbol of courage and resilience. His bravery had saved lives, and his kindness had helped rebuild a community. He was more than just a watchman. He was a hero. The watchman had proven that it didn't take a superhero to be a hero. All it took was courage, quick thinking, and a willingness to help others. The residents of the building were lucky to have him as their watchman, and the city was proud to call him their hero. And so the tale of the watchman's bravery became a legend, passed down from one generation to the next. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could prevail, and that one man's courage could change everything. The watchman had faced his fears head-on and emerged as a true hero. His actions had saved lives and brought a community together. And as the city moved forward from the tragedy, it did so with a hero at its heart. His story was a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of human courage and kindness. In the face of adversity, he had chosen to act, and his actions had changed lives forever. He was more than just a watchman. He was a hero.